Look at little Miss Pollyanna in the front there. You know.
You know, yesterday I said, I just feel so self-conscious going to be taping. I said, well, we're being taped all the time, but not showing, right? So I said, well, you could always change it. You could always delete it. What's so big deal? Then I said, all right, let's do it. I never take that away.
Show them the manual choice. Yeah. Show them manual choice connecting first. Sure. So that period pretest.
You okay on here? I also got the disintegration.
Give your clicker.
Freeze drive.
Yeah. That's what I say to my kittens. Is it good?
In the backyard.
You're like, I need to see
Thank you.
How did you eat, Holly?
It was good, actually. Right now we're at a point at work where it's kind of like a bit of a down time because we're right in between semesters. So yeah, so the winter semester ended, summer semester starting May 11th.
Right.
And so it's nice to have a little bit of a respite because we see like student after student after student after student. Like it's not like it's yeah. So it's nice. And then
How long are your sessions with us?
well, usually about 45 minutes, but if it's an initial intake, then it's a double period, so it can be a 90 minutes. Or maybe that kind of throws time over the air, but usually 45 minutes.
I saw you sitting on the half floor.
An extra 15 minutes.
You don't mind, huh?
Oh, no,
I think I like the fresh air, like, right.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
we
still half
do,
floor.
but that often doesn't happen because sometimes we'll go a bit longer in session, so we.
Yeah, I have two announcements, but
In the day, but 2.5 minutes, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's not too bad, it's pretty structured, but sometimes too structured, right? Yeah, exactly. And yours, what you're doing quickly?
so maybe between us and
You look very comfortable.
I'm trying.
Good. 2, 4, 3. I was still shocked at you.
It's too good.
Beautiful idea with students when we're teaching, right? I was still shocked at them. Come on, let's back to work.
it's kind of wrinkled.
That's okay. Back to work.
Oh, yay! Come on, go back to the test.
All right, you're gonna have a test. Oh.
Wake up time.
Open book, right?
Open book, yeah. And I want to ring the bell so that downstairs, upstairs, wherever they are.
now reading the Josh.
Not too low for me.
Oh, you shouldn't have showed me those.
I know, right? What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah. What? It's a, oh, she's
All right. Settle down, Jess. You're not taking this, Steve.
Oh, I am actually.
But you can edit it out or.
That's
Best thing about non-live feeds.
All right. I have two announcements. Number one is that I like to keep your email confidential, but it will take me ages one at a time. Would that be okay? Do you want to keep your emails as a group? Then everybody will know your emails and you could communicate among yourselves. Or you want it to be, you don't want that to be included.
Blank copy.
BCC.
B.Sc?
Busy like busy.
But I don't.
I'm fine.
Okay, yes or no?
I have a question though, can we put the names with the email?
I see your email sometimes do not match the name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Steve, could you do that?
Sure.
He's the iTech person. IT.
I can.
Okay. Now we know what we wanted, right? All BCC? Okay. And number two, could we have a group picture tomorrow after school?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I need to
I
do.
have a suggestion with the group, well, one of the group pictures. I love that picture that you have downstairs where everybody has their hands in, you're kind of looking down like that. That's a cool picture. You know the picture you have downstairs?
And you know what they do? They have a camera.
Yeah. That's
and
a
then
great picture.
But with so many people,
Yeah, that might be hard with some.
that might be
I
hard.
love that picture.
Yeah,
We could put a CD.
I think we could.
I know. Yes.
Look, we got a IT genius here. We got a camera genius over there.
Yes.
And we got all the dancers and singers and actors.
I think we.
Hey.
I think it should be called favorite hits by psychotherapists. So we can play, the song "Healing."
We should get her to do a solo.
Oh,
Do a song and dance.
I'll tell you what. I got flute here. I got piano behind. All the talents would be all included. And you know what? We should have a party of all the participants ever since we started in January.
Okay, I have one more announcement. Do you have a syllabus?
Yes.
A syllabus represents a contract between the students, the participants, and the instructors, right? So with your permission, I want to add one more item about objectives.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Only if we don't.
What happens if we said no?
Only if we don't.
Always it's for your good. Now, the last item is important. You know why? Because you often therapists are only interested in skills and techniques. Am I correct? But everyone I give workshop is about teach us more techniques. But there's something more important than technique. What is more important? take the test. Oh, kids from what's your name?
Marcy.
Oh, she knows all the answers. Okay?
It's all boss. We're a team.
You are more important than your skill, remember? That's why. So now with your permission, I add one more item. That means to one of the objectives is to learn to enlarge your capacities for understanding, for empathy, and for growing. Right? It's about you. It's not about skill, it's about you. Is that okay?
Can you repeat that, please?
To enlarge your capacities
Understand?
for understanding, empathy, and growing. So when you do that, you'll be more likely able to help your client do that, right? If you don't practice what you preach, your preaching has no effect, right? Now, I give you a pre-test. I'll not tell you the answer. You just give the answer yourself. At the end, I'll give you the answer. This is my right answer, okay? Now, the multiple choice for this lecture, humanistic, existential, okay? How does it move? Able. Okay. This is the first question. You just write on the right answer, A, B, C, D, E. It could be, more than one right answers, okay? Now this will be tricky, but this will involve double negatives, right? So double negative is a little bit tricky. So it's a good answer already. Can I move on to the next one? At the end, I will see how many right you get, okay? Can I move to the next question? To write down the right answer, you can write down A or C or D, no, the right answers. Okay, we go to the next. Okay. You think you know all the answers, why you're laughing, right? Some questions are trick questions, right? Are you ready for the next one? I hope you all score 100%. You enjoy health? Do you agree with the last item, demanding more from your client?
Always.
Then you don't know empathy.
Depending, demanding or expecting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, demand is a little
Okay,
different.
okay. That's it. Okay, can we get back to the lecture? So we'll go back to that to find the right answers again. Now, usually we refer to humanistic existential as one school. There are some subtle differences, but for the time being, not to worry about that. So I refer to them as humanistic existential approach, okay? Here are some of the characteristics of humanistic existential. One is that our interest is not your symptoms, but your story. The story of your lived experience. So that is the raw material for the psychotherapist. And it's not just describe your symptom, but describe your how you experience it. The more detailed, the more graphic, the more extensive your story, the easier for the therapist to understand the client. And the second big difference is psychological disorder. Okay. Now, how many of you are using DSM-4 or DSM-5? You use it? Anybody else? The unfortunate part is that for the clinical psychologist, when you write a report, they require you to put a diagnostic label on the person. Otherwise, you don't get funding, you don't get reimbursement, all right? So it's all right to find a appropriate label, but when you help the client, you have to go beyond the label, right? It's more helpful to think of your client's problems or difficulties as problems of adjustment and process of growing, okay? And part of overcoming. So it's more helpful, it's a more positive way to simply use a disorder to describe. In DSM-5, there are all kinds of called adjustment disorders. I would rather call them simple adjustment, right? Adaptation. It's not a disorder, right? But you can, so this is the view of humanistic view, is that, we all have stumbled, we all struggle, we all experience pain and frustration. It's part of the process of living. Right? The last part is also important. The last part says what? I believe in you. I believe in your capacity for self-healing. I believe in your capacity to forgive and move forward. I believe in your capacity to fulfill your potential. And I believe in your ability to overcome and to live with your problems. So this is a much more optimistic note, all right? That you might not be able to solve your problem, but at least you can move on and live your problem in a more functional, in a happier way. So any question about this slide? Does it make sense? Do you buy into that? Good, good. Here is something about humanistic therapy, which is a little bit different from existential. Okay. Now, for humanist psychology, the focus on what? The search of true self. Remember your first lecture, I asked you a question, what's your true self? Remember? Eh? Do you still remember what is your true self? Do you want to answer that question, what's your true self?
Still evolving.
Huh?
Still evolving.
So you're evolving self.
I mean, everybody needs to have some sense of your true self. Right? I mean, your true self might be evolving, might be faulty, but you know, it's human nature to say, well, who am I? What am I? So that you must have some kind of concept of what you're made of, you know, what represents the real you. Okay? And what would be the existential approach different from humanistic? The existential approach, we're more interested in your quest for meaning rather than the quest for self, human self, as some kind of entity, right? It's more interested in your quest for meaning. Right? What are the main contributions? You know, if a therapist, in what way you help you to, you know, to use the humanistic perspective? That's quite obvious, right? You will have a much noble and high view of your client and believe in their autonomy, their innate goodness, and their dignity. And also you're confident in their ability of self-healing. We talked about it earlier. Okay? And finally, that is the common factor. The main contribution of humanist psychology says that if you are able to provide a nurturing, a safe, and trusting environment, then what? If you do the first part, then what? Complete sentence for me. If you are able to create such an environment, then your client will what? Huh? Huh?
Heal themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Roger will say, oh, right or wrong, it doesn't matter, but he is saying that if you give that environment, most people, I don't think 100% of people, most people will be able to make the right decision and to understand their problem and to do what is right and to heal themselves. So the reason why we have so many people with mental disorder, with problems, is because our society is not able to provide that, right? family is supposed to be a safe haven, supposed to provide such an environment, but often it's not the case. School, church, everywhere you go, you see human problems, the conflict. So where you can find that? In your therapy room. That's the sad part, right? That's why they pay money to see you, because you're the only person in the whole wide world is able to provide that. Can you do that? If you can do that, you'll be able to attract many clients to come to you, right? But it's the only place on earth that you can experience that. Okay, now here is another challenge. Roger says that a therapist needs to be genuine, okay, authentic, okay? What does that mean? A genuine therapist is free to be himself in a deep, authentic way without any facade. Okay. Could a therapist be angry and mad with the client? Eh?
Yeah.
Sure. Why? In what situation? Eh? Sometimes I got so frustrated with my client, I scream at them. And they will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you got so upset with me. They know they caused me upset. It's not my fault." Sometimes, yeah, don't laugh, that's true. I scream at them and
It's
say,
not seen as you needing therapy.
"What's that?"
Being abusive.
Yes, or being abusive, right?
No, you see, but depends how you get angry. Okay?
In some.
You're angry for them keep hurting themselves. I say, you don't have to, right? You're frustrated with their insistence on the only way is a destructive way. But there's a better way. I'm angry now, right? I say, there's a much better way. You don't have to engage in self-destruction. You don't have to. See, what I convey, that kind of I care, right? But sometimes I could become irritated and angry because my own personal demon, right? Possible, right? To be genuine means that I acknowledge that I'm a personal demon. And when it come out and get me, oh, I'm so sorry, I lose my cool, I lose my temper. I apologize, right? I'm not perfect, so there are no perfect human beings in the world. You pretend to be perfect, I'll be inauthentic, right? I'll be how do you call that? Not genuine, right? So I could be angry, I could be upset because I flip. I'm very sorry, I'm sorry, it's not your fault. I apologize. So that teach the kind of what?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. And it's all right to fail sometimes, right?
It's the human experience.
Right? It's all right. You don't need to pretend to be good all the time. Now, Teresa has lived with us for a few days now, right? I'm not perfect, right?
Yes.
Thank you. My wife lived with a long time, 50 years. I'm not perfect, right?
Yes.
Come on, I'm not answering. Of course not, right? She should answer. She's too kind. She's too kind. I mean, nobody's perfect. That nobody is perfectly beautiful, right? Unless you do plastic surgery. Right? Nobody is perfectly beautiful personality-wise. I mean, That's what we are, right? And also a genuine person is a high degree of integration. In other words, you integrate, the good part with the bad part, and so you're, like in psychology, we talk about compartment. How to pronounce that? Compartmentalization, or fragmentation, or worse, disintegration. They're all horrible words, right? But what happens when people are fragmented? When people are compartmentalized? So that will create a problem in terms of sometimes you don't know which part of you, right, is real, which parts are not real. So you are not in communication with yourself because you are divided. You have a divided self. So part of the things for the therapist to do, part of the work you guys have to figure out the other self. Am I a divided self? Am I a fragmented self? Or am I an integrated self? You remember Carl Jung? What is the ultimate aim of individuation? What the ultimate aim is integration, right? Integrate the male part with the female part, the dark part with the bright part, right? It's integration, right? Okay, theme of existential therapy now, okay? If humanistic psychologist is concerned about helping the client to find himself or herself, the existential therapist is more interested in encouraging the client to find meaning for his life or for the situation. Okay? Do you see any conflict between two positions? Between humanistic and existential? One emphasizes finding your true self. The other one is finding your meaning for existence, the meaning for your situation. Do you see any conflict? No, right? So my approach is called meaning-centered, which is basically is person-centered with the focus on meaning. So I combine the two. Royal May also integrated the two. So there isn't much difference except the emphasis. The main difference is that existential therapy recognize and confront the dark side, whereas humanistic psychologists tend to overlook the dark side. The same problem with positive psychology, they tend to leave out the evil part. Now, when we talk about the dark side, what am I talking about? What's your understanding of the dark side?
Young might call the shadow.
Huh?
It could be the shadow. I mean.
So what is the shadow?
Well,
Carl Jung's idea of shadow?
Yeah, well, it's all, yeah, I type, but let's say I might have a procrastination tendency. On the other side of that shadow of my procrastinated tendency, I could use it to nurture my patience. So if I, like the.
Well, I'm not talking about transformation. I'm not okay. What's your understanding of a shadow? Do you have a shadow? Do you have a dark side?
Yeah.
Do you want to confess your dark side? Have you ever confessed your dark side to your client? Eh? Yes. Yeah? Sure, right?
Not all of it, no.
A little bit, but not too much, right? Not too much. We're all human, we all have a... So usually, so following the positive psychologists, the guys, the positive psychology has the same problem as humanistic. They tend to leave out the dark part, the dark side. Finally, they began to recognize, oh, we should talk about the upside of the dark side. Okay, Todd already spoke on that. It sounds quite well. But Todd still have a very superficial understanding of the dark side. To them, the dark side means the negative emotion. Okay, that's a negative emotion can be put to good use, right? What is the upside of your anger?
Well, but it's okay that you have those feelings and that you can't, well, and when you're doing it with a client, sometimes what you're doing is you're regulating that emotion. And so you're helping them to understand that they could probably do that too.
So anger is, I'm angry with my client sometimes, right? Not all the time, otherwise I'll get away, right? So anger is your reaction to some problem that should not be there, right? Your anger to the treatment you have received, which is unjust. So they often, anger is the motivation to make changes, right? I'm sick and tired of being me. Okay, change yourself. Okay? You're sick and tired of me, you better do something about it. I'm sick and tired of being lost. Okay? That's fine, you're lost, fine, that's not pleasant. But if you are interested, you're serious about yourself, you will find your way eventually. Don't cry, oh, I'm lost, I'm lost. Lost, that is fine. But don't stay there. Because don't feel sorry for yourself, you're lost. Get up your ass and move. I like you moving. You will find your way. So, anger, they all have sadness. Also, is good, right? So, but when we talk about darkness, it's more than just negative emotion. What else? What else is darkness?
Can I just comment on the thing that we were just talking about in regards to, I think that you have to know when to do that, use that intervention, right? Like I had an individual who came to me regularly. She'd come and she'd sit into the office. I know that she went through trauma, but she wouldn't talk at all. I would have to do all the work and ask all the questions. And finally I just said, when she came on the 7th session, I said, I'm really frustrated. But I had to wait. I had to keep waiting.
So session is nothing.
I felt I had to keep waiting and waiting until she would break out of that.
Civil session is nothing.
But she told her mother that, she said, I don't like her because she got angry with me. But I'm like, angry? Really? She took that as anger? Like, I wasn't angry. I just said, I'm really frustrated that, she comes every single session and you're not sharing a thing with me.
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
Okay. No. This time, your fairness, okay? Your fairness, okay? I'm saying that your frustration is a little bit premature. Let me tell you why, okay? That's why I say right away. I see my gut feeling. Say, 7 weeks is nothing. Because if you have some deep pain, deep trauma, unspeakable horror experience, 7 weeks is nothing. Why should a person willing to be re-traumatized, willing to endure the pain to reveal their guts? Sometimes it might take 1 or 2 years before they finally reveal their inner pain, the inner hell. And often they might not tell you directly. They'll write down a story or in century or in painting. That's why art's very important, because when you're in so much pain, words are inadequate, right?
So I tried all that with her.
No, but some weeks is nothing.
Art.
But some weeks is nothing. You have to be patient, because you understand the deeper the pain, the longer it takes,
Yes.
right?
So the other thing that I brought to her attention is because I live in a small community, so I seen her interacting with all these different people. And I brought that forward. I said, I see you in the community and you interact with all these different people, but yet when you come in here, you sit quietly and silent and you don't say anything. So what so I should have gave her more time.
Oh yeah.
More time.
Why did she keep coming?
I asked her that, but she didn't answer me.
Okay.
Why do you keep coming?
That's something to work on, right? If they are resistant, if they are afraid to touch that area, I know there's something deep, that there's some deep hurt there. So that's a warning sign, a signal that there's something very deep.
Yeah.
There's something very painful.
You're very correct, but she shared it with her teacher, she shared it with lots of different
Because
people.
they're in a supervision, but in a superficial way. But now it's real deal. Now the therapy is,
The problem I have is that I don't have enough time to see them for 1 or 2 years.
okay. I understand that, okay. Because right now, managed care, okay, or government say 10 sessions maximum, 8 sessions, okay. But you don't have a luxury to see the person for 2 years, 20 years, okay. But you can, there's a problem there, okay. But you can, for example, you can encourage them to go home, write a story, okay, or write you a letter, whatever. You might never get to the bottom of the mess, but you should be able to at least give the client some new understanding, some new strengths to deal with them on their own later on. Okay, but it's a difficult problem. You can't see a client for them. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well, the interesting thing is she did come into the next session and she did talk.
Huh?
She did come into the next session and she did talk.
Good, that's good, yeah. But I'm saying that this is not your experience, but common experience for therapy. They refuse to talk about the deep pain, especially when it's really hurting. For example, being raped by a grandfather, okay, or being raped, abused by mother's new husband, okay. But some things are so horrible that it takes a long time to.
My expectation of her, and I told her, I said, it's not to really to talk about that. Let's talk about school. You're going to school.
Oh yeah, but
Let's talk about these other things.
Yeah, they will depend on nature. That's why.
Yeah.
If a real serious problem, 7 weeks is nothing, okay?
Yeah.
But for ordinary, not ordinary, but less serious problem, okay? If still the kind of show resistance, he's hiding something, he's trying to hide something. To you might be this small thing, but it may be an iceberg or something bigger. So that's why I remember last time I mentioned about resistance is a good thing with therapy. Because whenever the kind show resistance, you're onto something. You're onto something. Where's my wife? She has something to say.
Yeah, as a psychotherapist, the hardest thing is there's no cooperation from the client. And silence is almost interpreted as, I don't want to be here. And I think this is, we emphasize relationship. We emphasize that this is the only place. I'm the only person that will listen to you whenever you are ready. And I could give you examples that you just be there for them What do they want? As long as they come. If they don't come, then they don't have a chance. As long as they come, and you just sit there. Just to give you 1 minute about an example that I had, and one of my male student, and he was so frustrated with his client, didn't do anything. He sat there. The first time, second time, he wanted to show me that he has, skills, but this show wasn't doing anything. After 3 times, he said, "What are you going to do?" But he came. And one time, he was sick. I went into the office and I told the boy, I said, "Your counselor is sick, so would it be okay for me to, to do with you?" And all of a sudden, the face just sank, feeling so sad. And then he said, "Would that be okay if I make a picture on this table and you take a picture of it? And then you could give it to him?" The relationship is there, but the child doesn't know how to express it. Obviously, in the family, there isn't anybody who express emotions. So right after that, we took pictures. And could you take another picture? And they took another picture, and next day, the 2 of them were just playing. So sometimes it takes time, as Paul was saying, something inside we cannot express. It takes time, but you are there.
Okay.
You are,
I just two hands.
I
You
just
and then.
comment.
Yeah.
I think as therapists, we have to push ourselves to not look at things in a singular way. Because the person just coming and not talking is actually expressing. And you have to just bear witness and go with it. And when the time is right, it'll evolve. So sometimes we have our own expectation that I have 7 sessions, 8 sessions, 9 sessions, I have to do certain work. And that's not, it's a client's process. And you can feel good. I have had clients who haven't spoken for 1.5 years. And when they did, the first thing and only thing that came out was, "Madame Rita, will you help me?" And after that, just quietness. And you can say, "Yes, how can I help you?" And there's pin drop silence after that. Right? So I had to just go with what I didn't think about what is successful. Whose outcome am I? Whose agenda am I serving here? And the person came every time on time. And after 1.5 years, he spoke.
Okay. You first and then you. Okay.
This is a little bit different because normally we just think of silence as resistance.
Can you speak louder?
Look at silence as resistance,
Uh-huh.
but because we tend to just look at the mind and we tend not to really look at the body. Like once I met with this Chinese medicine doctor and we were talking because we're consulting with the same client, right? And he said to me, Marcy, this lady doesn't like to talk because it drains her energy. So what you might see as her not wanting to, it's not because she doesn't want to share with you, it's just the nature of who she is. So talking a lot. So to me, like we usually focus on, like you talked about having a singular way of looking at things, but also what is that personality style of that person themselves? How do they approach things in terms of communication?
It has a lot to do with trauma and darkness, and when people will repeat also.
I think the other thing for me, it's a great conversation, because I do have at least 3 students who come and do not say anything to me. And I know, unfortunately, the clinical supervision that we have, it very much depends on my clinical supervisor's worldview, because we can only see them 7 or 8 times. And the question is, okay, so what did you do, Renee? What did you talk about? What's your plan for this person? And I think that has an influence on how we see students who they just come. I've got one who just sits, and I've got 3 of them. And it's okay for me. I find value in that because, like you said, Lilian, all female actually, they come. Excuse me. And that's where they're at. But I think if your clinical supervisor hold you accountable somehow for some kind of divine intervention.
Sometimes it's not your clinical source, sometimes it's just the statistical information you need.
I know.
Goals,
Yeah, that's right.
What's a treatment? I mean, how can you do goals with somebody if they aren't even talking to you?
know what?
You have to collaborate with that person.
Oh, you have to be creative in mindfulness talk, couch it in that rather than, the verbal stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I kind of threw that back at me, I was like, and that was all communication, yes, I
Yeah.
understand it was all communication. And I was,
And
of
safety,
course, I did say,
Needs to feel sorry.
yeah.
If I can just share an experience, I was a practicum student, and I was working with I was going to meet a 7-year-old boy with his father, and this boy came in with his father, and if the father was sitting in this chair, right, the boy sat behind the chair for the whole first session and didn't say a word to me, and like sat behind the chair. So I'm like gaining information with this father, and in my head, I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? This kid is not talking. But I think, I knew I was able to actually kind of draw on my own self because I'm generally a quiet person and I'm comfortable in quiet. And probably even last week, I didn't say 2 words on Saturday because my style is to absorb my environment and reflect on it and figure out my own entry point into where I can accept my environment, if that makes sense. And so I just sat with this little boy and I literally like went on the floor, and I remember going into supervision with my practicum supervisor, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to engage him, and I don't know how that's going to be therapeutic. And he gave me the best advice. He said, your goal is just to give him a positive experience of counseling. And that may be the only step you take. And that may be the only thing you do. And you may not touch the anxiety his parents see or the problem he relates to. And if you just foster that positive relationship, and that's it. And that's all I did. And I would just play with him. And it wasn't until the end did I start to even gear into things that were therapeutic or interventions. And I just played with, and I just engaged with him at his level. And I got to see, I was lucky enough for him to continue in the practicum. And so I got feedback from other practicum students that had seen him after and had noticed my notes. And he engaged, every time he saw a different person, he engaged more and more. And I learned that sometimes all you do is plant that seed.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I went on.
Thank you, very good, thank you. Now, do you remember the story, the Bible story about Job? Remember?
Yeah.
Who is the best counselor?
The youngest one.
Then what did he do?
He sat and listened.
Sit there, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a thing about that young lady. Yeah.
Sometimes, interesting, because Renee and I were having this conversation on the way in, and I got laughing because.
He always laughs at me, so that's right.
That's right, and I do tell her to take it personally. I'm kidding. Because we have to sometimes, or I do anyways, I shouldn't say we. Sometimes I wonder, like Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Like, you sit in a room with a bunch of psychotherapists, and before you know it, they've concocted a whole picture of something, and you think, I'm not even sure anymore if that's true, or like, do you really hate your father? How was your mother? Did you draw that hand too big because you feel like your family's consuming you? Why is one person in the picture touching the ground and the other person isn't? Are they dead? I don't know. Like, do you
wish they were?
Do you wish they were dead? Like, it's like I love the process. I love the thought process. But then sometimes I think, like in your situation, when I heard you, maybe it was premature, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? I don't know. Like, but the interesting part was, I think that matters is that you did probe it. Like you asked the question, right? And I think that that's, because sometimes we don't know, like we you know, we do look for that guidance.
So that's similar. I think on Freud talk about warning against over interpretation.
Yeah, over interpretation.
Remember last time talk about transferring, counter-transferring. When you over interpret, the client can be very mad with you. Okay? How do you know? So a cigar is a cigar. Okay. Back to this lesson. Okay. Today's lesson is that see about humanistic existential. Okay. See, we have our own agenda. We want to like things going at a certain rate, right? But the humanistic approach say, well, the clients decide on have their own agenda. They take the lead, take the key. We have to learn to tolerate silence. Not only tolerate, but appreciate what silence teaches you. Right? Now, this young lady mentioned about, the best session might be you say very little things. What is helpful is your presence. Your presence, using Kurt Snyder's language, he said your presence will permeate and illuminate the whole constant session. So even you don't say anything, but you lean forward, your eye, your body language communicate that you are interested in them, that you believe in them, that you care about them, that you're open for whatever you might say. So your presence is therapeutic, right? Even without saying a word. Innovation doesn't mean how to talk, right? So now going back to this, that we will stay here all day. That's fine. Here about saying that the freedom, okay? Say that you are free to actualize yourself. In other words, don't look at the environment, don't listen to other people, but you have to listen to your inner voice. And Maslow say a musician must play music, remember? An artist must paint, right? A therapist must practice therapy. so in other ways, but at the same psychologist will go you further and say, you know what? It's not about you. It's about getting out of you. So even Maslow and Anne say the highest stage of achievement is what? It's not self-actualization, but what? Self-transcendence. Yes. If you only think about your potential, your dreams, you're still limited. The highest human achievement is to be able to get out of yourself, say, well, what I contribute to this world, what can I contribute to humanity? How can I surpass myself, get out of myself? So you are always free to transcend yourself in every situation. This is an exercise, remember? I said that doesn't matter what you do. It's your attitude that allows you to transcend, right? And finally, the last point, the courage to live an authentic life. The courage is a frequent word in humanistic existential tradition. Why do you need courage? See, we consider courage as the most important value on which other values depend. Why do you need courage to be authentic? Do you remember the famous Ash, the conformity experiment? Do you remember that? Everybody say, oh, the wrong answer is the right answer. By the time it comes your turn, what do? You conform. you longer trust your own eyes. You say, maybe my eyes was not reliable. You can't fool. Because why? Because to be able to stand up and to speak your own conviction, it takes a lot of courage. It's easier to go along with the crowd. Heidegger will say that is inauthenticity. If you follow the crowd, if you follow the social norm, then you are inauthentic. Because you don't know where you stand. Because society sometimes are crazy. So it's control society, their values, you cannot accept and adopt without critical analysis. So to be authentic person, you have to be what? Have courage to rebel against status quo. Rebel against what you perceive as madness, as insanity, even though everybody practices it, right? So that's the point, right? So sometimes, using Royal May's word, sometimes you encourage a client to save himself from society. Not to encourage him to conform to society, but save himself from society. Now this is a quite interesting thought, right? Save yourself from society. Yeah. The main contribution. So when we talk to the client, we consider the client as a fellow member of humanity, right? I mean, we are all human beings. Okay? Now here's what I'm saying, okay? One of the things that as an existential therapist, you not only have to encourage clients to understand the assumptions of the world, but you also have to ask yourself, what do you believe? How you see the world, how you see yourself. Now, in cognitive behavior therapy, we say, well, you have rational beliefs. It will affect your what? Come on. Huh? You have emotion, right, and behavior. But if it goes one step further, what influence your beliefs? What makes you have irrational beliefs? What makes you to have irrational beliefs? Go one step further. Your irrational belief may be because you have faulty assumptions about the world, right? Or your irrational belief because your unconscious motives. So the whole area about your assumptions, your unconscious past, the whole bunch of things are material for existential therapists. Okay. The effective use of self in existential therapy, deeper than just therapeutic alliance. In what way? What's deeper than? What is therapeutic alliance? Come on, you should know the answer. What is therapeutic alliance? Oh, come on. The whole course. Huh?
The relationship between you and the client.
Is that a legal relationship? Is a legal contract? Pay for service? You pay me, I provide service. That's one level, right? And one level is aligned means the legal, implicit legal contract. You come to see me, assuming that I can help you, so I'll be able to help you. Okay? But a deeper level is what? A deeper level, we get into authentic encounter between two persons. So some people say therapy is what happens in an encounter between two persons. When two persons meet each other, the person who has more positive energy will transfer that to the person who comes in with all the negative energy. When something happens, okay, the beyond intervention, the mere meeting between two persons can affect both persons, right? But if you have more positive energy, more positive influence, you will affect the person more than the other person affect you. Right? So there is in an encounter with two persons, than just technical alliance. Right? Now, how you can have an existential encounter? You have to use your authentic self. What is the real self? You're not capable of this existential encounter without knowing, developing your authentic self. So I have a question about this one. Now here is my friend Amy. She is organizing the existential therapy conference in London, so I'll be going there too. So for her, she equipped the spiritual self with the existential self. So at the core of each person, it's not your habit, it's not your thinking, but your existential assumption about the world, your basic beliefs about the world. It's a big question. So that is the spiritual work I talk about. So we need to engage client at this level, not just psychological, relational, or natural, metaphysical, but more importantly, at the spiritual level. Now, here is a big name in existential therapy, and his main contribution is talk about the presence. Remember I talk about presence? Presence means what? Not just intellectually present, but means you are open and responsive to the client. In other words, you are totally attuned and sensitive to what's going on in the room and what's going on in the life of your client. So you're totally open. Right? Authenticity against the process leading to a spiritual realization. When they talk about spiritual realization, they're more in terms of transpersonal, about transcending yourself, get into the area of beyond the physical world. He also mentioned a paradox. Now, here's something. In existential therapy, you're always dealing with paradoxes of life. Okay? And here, if you want to be authentic, you have to live a paradox of insisting, taking a firm stand on what you stand, what you believe in, but at the same time, flexible enough to let go belief they are no longer functional. So you're firm, but you're not firm. You hang on and you let go. If you only hang on and do not let go, then you have a problem in life, right? Sometimes you might have let go some belief you have been holding on to 20 years, to 20 years. You say, oh my God, I have followed this dogma. I believe in this scripture, but I don't think I go on living that way. So being authentic, you have to say, well, it's time for me to let go of something I used to believe. So this is a paradox. You need to both. Now here's Gentle's famous quote: "Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived." Now, in a way, it sounds like a cop-out, right? I'm sorry, I can't solve your problem. Treat that as a mystery to be lived. I mean, in a way, it sounds like cop-out, right? But at a deeper level, what does it mean? At a deeper level. A deeper level means that so many problems, there are no solutions, right? What's the problem? There are no solutions. Do you have a problem that cannot be solved? I'm living my pain at my knee. I'm living along. I'm living along, but sometimes in the psychological area, the human suffering is part of the mystery of life. If you adopt the attitude, you say, well, I don't know why I just, by nature, I'm melancholy. By nature, I'm depressed. By nature, I'm shy. By nature, this my nature, I don't know why I have this nature. I'll make the best of it, but I better learn to live with it, right? And live with it, still function effectively as a professional. Right? So the certain part of you cannot be changed. The best therapy is one, let me test you again. A best therapy is someone who will choose a method that is best consistent with his past and with his temperament, with his values, and also with his temperament, right? Remember I say that Roger cannot do what Alice does, Alice. Colorado cannot do what Frankl does, right? So you have to know yourself and to use the method that you can use best, because it's part of your temperament, it's part of your makeup, part of the experience. Okay? And here the next part is that it makes you believe because they value the complexity of lived experience. Okay? Now here's something. Yalom, famous statement. Actually, he borrowed that from somebody else, from philosopher. Okay? The idea of death saves many lives. What does that mean? What does Yalom mean? The idea of death. Do you think about death? I do, because I'm very close to death. Yeah, but you guys don't have to get young, right? What do you think about that?
Pardon?
How do you think about that?
Not that often, but I know the consequence is death, so I might as well live as interesting as I can make it.
Okay.
I think about death all the time because in Islam, we look forward to death, to the next life. And so every day we think about death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's scary.
Why is good?
Because it's the unknown, right? You don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't know other people.
Yeah. So I think Yalom and most existential psychologists think that it's important for us to confront our finitude, our own mortality, so that we will live wisely, we'll live vitally, we'll live fully. I mean, some religious people think about death and think about preparing themselves for the next life, okay? But for many people who without such belief in the next life, it also helps you because I only have this life, I meant to make the best use of it. So one question we ask clients is that I tried that trick with clients, it seemed to work. I say, you spend your days feel misery, complain about what you don't have, about your problems. I say, how many years do you have left in your life? She said, well, maybe 10. Do you want to spend the rest of your life feeling misery, focusing on what's wrong in your life, rather than pursuing what might make your life happier and healthier? So one benefit of focusing on death on the shortage of time to help them, make them to realize life is the most valuable gift. You know, it's not something to squander away in misery, in complaints, but also force them in a way, make demand on them to broaden the horizon, to think about new possibilities for happiness, for creativity, for fulfillment. There will be other things you have never thought about. See, our job as therapists is to help not only broaden our own lives, enlarge our own lives, but empower our clients to broaden their lives so that they can see something they never thought about before. That is a bigger challenge than fixing up the problems, right? It's easy to fix up the problems, but more difficult to teach them how to live, to tell them how to be fully functioning human being. Okay? And in fact, every client and every therapist face the fundamental conflict between the status quo and change. If you choose to stay with the status quo, you will experience what? You will experience guilt and regret, right? You say, oh, I wish I had made the decision to go back to school. I wish I had made the decision to change career. I wish I could marry A rather than B. I hope my wife doesn't think that way. So you want to stay, you don't want to play safe. Your deathbed, you will feel guilty for all the missed opportunities, right? On the other hand, you will choose change. Say, well, life is an adventure. Teresa likes to use the word adventure, right? Life is an adventure. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm keep on going. I'll keep on going. Eventually I'll find something. You will choose adventure, you will feel what? Anxious. You feel anxious about the risk of uncertainty. So you have the win situation, right? Guilt or anxiety. So that is the dilemma. That's the dilemma of being a human being, right? What do you want? Hey, what do you want? It's just a client. What do you want? You want to be the same and be miserable? Or do you want to make some changes in your life? So you no longer be the sick and miserable you. And that is maybe tougher, but results much better, right? Here now, this is you know about that, right? Both humanistic, existential psychology, implant here now. Right? What I mean is that we don't only teach client to value the here and now, right? Because you keep worry about the past, what about the future, then you're not living, right? So we try to teach them to value what to have. See? Value the people around you, right? You value the people around you right now, right? To appreciative rather than be judgmental, critical, you will take a critical eye. Everything's wrong. You will see, well, appreciate what I have now. You'll be happier. Now, in therapy, here and now don't mean it. Here and now means that the body reaction from a client or the rudeness or the resistance, all kinds of behaviors from the client is a window of opportunity to see why the client is becoming a problem. You know what I mean? Because often, even they might put on their best behavior, but often here and there, they might say something, they might react something that reveal the deep problem they might have. So here and now, I catch that opportunity. That wait a minute, let's stop right here. Did you notice? Do you notice that you have a flash of anger towards me? Do you know where I come from? Do you know why you are? Did I say something that make you mad? See, you catch those moments. Oh, 5 minutes. Oh boy. 5 minutes for what?
Break.
Huh?
Break.
Oh, break time. Okay, it's not anger.
I have a situation with an individual who, I know for sure she's projecting her feelings towards her daughter on me, and she will get very, very aggressive on the phone, and my only comment that I've been able to find to say to her is that, to remind her that I'm not her daughter, to say I'm not your daughter. Can we think of a different way? Can you think of a different way that you want to express that to me? Because then she's just venting it onto me, right? Like just the same way she would be upset at her daughter, rather than being able to say it to her daughter, she's saying it to me. But I feel so tense when she does that I just usually say back to her, you have to remember that I'm not your daughter. Can you think about a different way that you want to talk about this with me?
Okay, you told that in the telephone?
It's on the telephone, that's with one client that I have that I don't even go to that community anymore, but she won't go see another counselor there.
Oh, the telephone, is that a constant session or is it just a casual session?
No, it's a session.
Okay. What do you think? Should she say that?
For a long time, I just took it all and then just took it as like content and how could I help her. But then I began to realize that wasn't working.
You could use immediacy instead of taking it in. You say what you just said,
But the question is that should she interpret the other person's behavior as a one of transference? So you're treating me as your daughter, but I'm not your daughter, I'm your therapist, right? You're using interpretation. She interpreting the transference. Should she or should she not?
what happens when I say that is she changes. And she calms right down, and then she begins to talk in a different way.
Good,
rather
good,
than it still
good, good.
staying very intense.
So you part of if you part of the not casual conversation, but part of session. So there's the right time to like we talked about last time. I said transfer occur because what? Because the client project their own past, project their own fantasy from a very different situation onto you, right? Which is totally inappropriate. Because it's a situation, right? Because that occurs when a client mixes up the reality with fantasy. So at the right time, okay, that's why you premature, you too early interpretation without a firm alliance being formed. You might backfire over too early interpretation. But in your case, seem to have the beneficial effect of making her realize that she has been doing that inappropriately, right? So sure, I mean, if you are sure, if you know that there's enough trust, enough relationship, and this, then interpreting, realizing there's a better way to communicate than projection. The projection can ruin a relationship because you project your feeling, your past onto the other person and assuming that is the other person, you ruin the relationship. What is a pure relationship? The projection is a terrible thing. The projection is based on transference. Okay, 5 minutes up. Let's take a break.
Take a break, get some fresh air, do some exercises and stretching.
The red button on the right. I'll show you. Yeah.
My name's
Right. Yeah, I got it right.
You got it. Oh, thank you. I had good teachers. I went to Trinity when I was
You went to Trinity lesson.
But I can help to teach you.
No, you didn't. I graduated in 2012. So 2012.
But you have studied in Wong Center.
I spent much time in the Wong Center. We know each other well.
I know, I thought you make me rather low. It's one of those things when we didn't need it.
I know, I have another bathroom.
That's good.
He's out, she's trying to talk about.
Oh, it's sad about the way because things are working like crazy, it's like you can see it. Like within hours, you can see changes.
Yeah. It's because I know any like
Trees are
show
opening
up. So
around.
I'm just kind of like,
Oh, so I grew it.
Taping, aren't I?
oh no, it's
Far
fine.
enough.
Back there, it's okay.
Okay.
I like to sort of test it.
I haven't heard you snitch at all.
But it,
Now that you mention it, I can hear it.
Yeah. In my head.
Yeah, you don't find
Oh my God. I was host. I was not
You can't come to my house then.
Cats, dogs.
Oh, so that's- it's not really
Yeah, not really good, but I'm doing the in my
That's amazing.
yeah, I'm not just a lot of drugs. I expected.
Yeah.
So how are you all holding up? Good.
Yeah.
Need coffee?
I grabbed some at the end of lunch there. Heated up to rooming.
Well, I do the conversation, and he's also a professor on campus in the States.
Are we, is it a group?
I'm going to have a group divided into 3 groups, and one group will go outside, one group at the back, one group here.
Okay, so the one at the back, can we either send it to the kitchen and close the doors, or to the basement?
They will go to the basement. You don't want them.
I don't want them in the street.
Okay, they will go downstairs then. Okay, good. It's warm up now.
I know, and she was saying
And so I think I've been kind of,
because we know. In one of the rice weeks, a master student was just joking around and no, I think it was socially. She got kicked out of the restaurant.
Okay. Oh, I can see you. But I can't hear you. Is there a way that you can unmute your sound? Maybe at the top part there? Okay, can I get you just to, can I get you to rejoin the, can I get you to just close and then rejoin?
Did you go to the last hour? Did you receiving it is very different.
Every now and again, it's just great.
Yeah.
You know? And he was talking about, okay.
No pressure, congratulations. No pressure, that's however.
It was.
Let me see next day.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Not if you can hear me. Okay, good. I'm going to turn the camera on me so you can see me. Hello. Okay, so at the top of your actually. Okay. Can you see yourself? Okay, so at the top of your screen, you should see this bar here. What I want you to do is find the one that looks like the microphone. Red, if you click on that, you should be able to hear your audio. Are you seeing that?
I'm just searching for something that I can do.
And then you get
how many more slides? Yeah. As soon as you finish, we go into the groups, okay?
So since that will be a question.
So here's what I want to do now.
You find that you cover it, or do you okay, so tomorrow,
There we go. Okay. I can hear you.
I just need time.
Whatever you just did was what you need to do. Okay, can you say something?
For 10 years, I was like that. And then almost 7 years in practice. I'll never do this work yet. It just sounds like, wow, I want to do that.
Well, I know that you're there all the time. I can't now.
Can you say something?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Loud and clear. Hi, Lilian. Miss you.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Hi, Lilian. That is good.
Over there.
That's cool.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Pretty good. You want to interview me?
Here we are. We can see you very nicely.
Yeah, quick picture, yeah.
I don't know if it's us. I can see her too. Aren't we awful? Okay, Todd, that is all yours.
Okay. Okay, so that's how we'll do it for the group conversation. I'm going to set you up right go back to
Who teaches here? Not a class, and then this is like class thing, right? This is teachers do.
You have to respond.
Oh no, they just keep on going. The new one, you have to train them not to give up. Yeah. And then for the keep you shut off all the lights.
Sometimes they scream.
No, I don't know, but you have to train them. Yeah, everything is ahead.
They did?
Yes. That's to get trained because they're figure skaters.
Okay.
Come to a
Oh, okay.
I know,
Like, well, near
Foxhole.
Oh,
Okay.
I've tasted it, yeah.
It's a high art here. Yeah, it's like they go across. They can do that with certain elders or certain figures in the community. So you have to do it.
Yeah, it's quite noticeable because they, the thing is, how do we engage? Because even in the classroom, we're not engaging.
Yeah, because sometimes.
Even wear your shoes in here.
Oh, no, we're good, it's good, we're okay too.
All right, I need your number. Okay, if you sit down nicely. Oh, they don't need to know. All right, now I'm going to ask you to say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know what that is for, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Sharon, I can't count on you. So what we will do, after Paul's lecture, we're going to divide it into 3 groups. One group will stay here, and 2 groups will go downstairs, and we're going to give you an exercise, and not only for, say, 15 to 20 minutes, and everybody will come back here for the last group so we could all share. All right? Thank you.
What Linus, how to divide 1 to 3, 4, 1 to 3?
All the ones in 1 and all the 2s in the one.
Here and now. Here and
Huh? Okay, have we counted?
1,
2,
3, 4. No, it's 1, 2, 3. 1,
2,
3, 1.
Is it me? Oh, sorry, I didn't have my gut. 2?
2, 3, 1.
Okay, thank you.
So
Can the 2 stay here?
I don't know.
I think
Can
it's
the
a
2
couple.
stay
You are
here?
2?
Yes.
All right, all the 2 stay here.
That's me.
Okay.
Are we moving? Not now, right?
Not now,
Not now.
not now, after
We're only here and now.
Here and now.
She's too eager to get moving. Now, well, 2 more slides on this one. Do you have problem with my third point here is to confront the self in totality for yourself and for your clients? Do you have a problem with that? I mean, how do you help your clients to become aware and to accept the totality of himself or herself? How do you do that?
Do you use their content, like what they're saying, and rephrase it back to them?
Yeah, do more than that.
Well, you have to wait to give them feedback, because you have to rephrase it to them and saying, I'm hearing you say that this is what you're wanting, or this is what's happening to you, but yet when you come to session, you're telling me this.
Okay, anything else?
I find sometimes that if I kind of use challenge, so if they present themselves as something, I could challenge them to say, are you comfortable with that? And is that who you want to be? And so their response would, determine if they're willing to accept themselves or not, or they want to change.
Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
asking questions that encourages people to look at why they think what they think. Kind of what's, what drives you to think that? Why?
Good. Well, you know all the answers, eh? Now here's something, okay? Typically, some therapists think that their job is to focus on the presenting problem and try to work with them to solve the problem. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is typically we do, okay? But that is not too challenging, right? You can do more than that. You can do better than that. So what the existential therapist like Royal May suggests that it is more exciting, more difficult, and more challenging to broaden the issue from just the presenting problem to the larger questions about life, about way of life, about how to become a fully functioning human being, right? So the process is not just to narrowly focus on symptoms or problem solving, solution problem, focus solving or problem solving, but we have to somehow try to open up the process to encompass the totality of the person, both the dark side and the bright side, both the bright potentials to do something exciting with one's life, and also the potential for self-destruction, for darkness. So this is not an easy task, because you often not trained in school, except in humanistic, existentially oriented training program. So I'm suggesting that there are many ways of doing that. One way is simply to directly ask them, what do you really want in life? What kind of life do you want to live? You say you don't want this, you don't want that, but what kind of life do you want to live? What kind of future do you want to live? So make them start thinking in larger terms. What kind of person you are capable of becoming? Possibilities thinking, right? And so that is a totally different from a symptom and problem focused therapy. Okay? You have to bring back to the big questions about human existence, about the kind of life, the kind of person they want to be. So any question about the last point here? Any question? Okay. Now here is another guy, a big name in external therapy, Kurt Snyder, and he branded himself as the integrative. I'm integrative, but we're a bit different. You can find out from the discern. So his integrative is really within the framework of ontological or experiential context. Tomorrow I'll teach you my way of integration. But he's also doing integrative work. But still, his vision of therapy is that we stay with the lived experience of the actual, what do you call that, ontological context. Ontological is a philosophical term about being and experiencing and becoming. So basically, he is focusing on four principles. The first one is what? The here and now, right? Talked about earlier. The second one is talking about the principle of what? Embodiment, kinesthetic. The embodiment, How does your body feel, right? Inside you, where does the anxiety locate? In your stomach or elsewhere? So he again bring back to the lived experience the physical aspect of the experience. So I think that's liberating. If you're able to translate emotion into some kind of bodily symptoms, some kind of bodily manifestation, then you help, you're able to help the client to learn relaxation, okay, to focus on that part, okay. So far so good. You can help them to breathing, to exercise, to focus on the body part that experience tension, okay. And the third part is emotion affective, which is emotional experience. But the last part is interesting. The last part, Schneider talk about the profound cosmic, the spiritual part, same as Amy, right? He is saying in therapy, you really need to draw kind of attention to the part of life that is beyond rational comprehension, something that beyond the realm of mysteries, cosmic mysteries, to cultivate a sense of awe and wonder. So that sense of awe and wonder is liberating. You know why? Because it takes you out of yourself. Again, back to transcendent, right? If you are standing before the sunset, oh, how beautiful. At that moment, you are out of yourself, right? Like Frankl in Nazi content camp, go through all kinds of suffering, but when they walk back to the, when they walk back to their little after labor camp, and they were transported to the beauty and the wonder of the beautiful sunset. So that is the moment of self-transcendence. Immediate here and now, the body embodiment, the feeling, and the profound experience of all help you to liberate you from what? We're narrow concern about your problems, right? Because most of us go to the therapy because they're preoccupied with their problems. So here's a Schneider for you, okay? Now, Schneider is a student of Gentle. He also emphasized the importance of presence. Okay? So this is how he described presence. The presence is one, here's how I explain presence. I'll be here with you, for you, as long as I can be of help to you. So that is his posture. See, I'm here for you, but I'm not do things to you, but I'm here with you. Do you see the difference? When I say I'll do some intervention to you, you're an object. I'm the therapist. I'm doing something to you, but present means say, I'm here with you. I'm here for you. I'm here as long as I can be of help to you when you have to do the hard work of finding your own solution, finding yourself, finding your way. So this is a different attitude, okay? Second, he's echoing Roger. See, I want to provide a safe place so you're free to be yourself. You're free to be your ugly self as long as you don't hit me in my nose. This is still boundary there, still boundary there. You're free to yourself as long as you don't hit me. You don't attack me. You don't hide anything. You're free to be yourself. And the final thing is the presence embrace the entire therapeutic process. Whether you're talking or not talking, whatever you do, you keep in mind that your presence is the therapy. Okay? So any question about Schneider? Okay, now go back to the question. Go back to the part of choice. Now I'll test you now, see whether you got it right, okay? How much time? You look puzzled, I said.
Not me? No.
No, I'm saying that I've concluded my lecture part. So I'm now giving you show you the question again to see how much you got it right or wrong. Now we go back to the multiple choice question. The pre-test earlier, so now you see how much time you got it right or got it wrong. Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, okay, now see how many you got it right or got it wrong. That's the first one. So, what are the wrong answers? Is there any wrong answer here?
Everything but D.
Huh? Is there any wrong? Is there any wrong answer here?
D.
B?
D. Like D.
B wrong?
E.
D?
E is an Edward.
Some say D. Some say D. Some say D.
D wrong? Why D wrong? Remember Heidegger says that to be authentic, you have to discover yourself and have the courage to stand alone rather than choose the easy path or part of the consumer society, as part of the norm of the society, right? If you don't discover your true self, you'll be part of the crowd. It's right. So in this question, there's no wrong answers. So I trick you.
So it's not B? You'll not be happy with yourself?
Okay. B. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. See, that's why it's a double negative difficult, right? So, there are many theories about happiness. Okay, do this, do that. But from an existential perspective, you cannot be truly happy. You cannot have lasting happy without being at peace, being comfortable in your own skin. Even not comfortable in your own skin, you do what to you, but you cannot escape. Even if you go to China, India, and everywhere, you're still within your own skin, right? You can't escape yourself. That's a problem, right? So you cannot find happiness until you learn to accept and embrace yourself. That's me. Not too pretty, not too bright, but I'm happy with myself. So until you come to the point of total self-acceptance, my friend, you cannot be truly happy. You got a point? Right? So all the answers are correct here. Huh? So I trick you. So don't trust me, okay? I trick you, huh? You expect that to be wrong. But not necessary, that's for me, you know. I say that. Now, which answer is wrong? Is the answer wrong? With any part?
C.
Yeah.
Which answer?
Which ones are right?
Which ones are right and which ones are wrong?
Well, say about which one is wrong, but by elimination, right? Do multiple choice, you eliminate. So what is the first one you want to eliminate?
C.
I had B and C as wrong.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think mythology is even part of your healing process, right? Like to turn your story into a noble struggle.
But do you need it to leave a
So now, if you accept that achieving holiness is a process, then you never arrive, right? There's always something wrong with you, cannot be fixed, right?
Right, yeah.
So be strong, right?
Right.
You need to fix all your problems to be whole, right? So remember I said there are no perfect human beings, right? There's no, I mean, Teresa proved that I'm not perfect, right? There's no perfect human beings. There's no human being without any brokenness. There's always some brokenness. You cannot fix all the broken places, okay? Cannot. We must accept the fact, okay? Okay, next question. Which one is wrong one? Come on, which one? Is there anything wrong here?
I think C. Is it C, enjoy anxiety?
Yeah.
Do I need to enjoy?
Anyone say B?
For, no. For wrong?
A. Isn't A wrong? Isn't A humanistic?
No, I forget about the differences. But existential psychology is really about
Human existence.
human existence, of course. I mean, it's obvious, right?
It's about acceptance.
I mean, existential psychology is about existence. I mean, it's self-evident, right? What is existential psychology is a concern about human existence, right? They also are concerned about human condition, right? So part of the existential therapy is help people to become aware and accept the human condition, which include human foibles, human weaknesses, right? Human finitude, mortality, evil, present evil. They're all part of the human condition. I mean, everywhere they're human beings, they are evil, right? Everywhere they're human, they're conflict. So these are simply the reality of the human condition. So as a therapist, you accept all that as a reality to building a better life, right? Now, C.
Which C?
Right or wrong? How many people say they're right?
There are two C's there.
And two C's.
Which C?
The first C.
A, B, C, D, E.
Oh.
I'm talking about C, the first typo, okay, my type. I just pick up this sentence, just question this morning in a hurry, okay? So I'll change that to wait later on. You change that later on, okay? Is C right or wrong?
wrong?
C.
Huh?
I don't think you need to enjoy frustration. You can accept it, but.
Okay. What is the right answer?
Right answer?
If you don't enjoy it, how do you do?
You accept it. You deal with it.
Yeah, accept that.
You accept it. Now, how many people know the Bible story about the seed? I'm going to, today Saturday, not Sunday, but give you a mini sermon anyway. Do you remember the Bible story about the seed? And let the seed eat what? to the ground,
And die.
and die, and struggle.
Right.
It cannot what?
Or reproduce.
Huh?
Can't grow.
Cannot grow, right? The same principle apply to you and to clients. Right? Oh, it's too hard. Too bad, baby. That's life. But nobody enjoys suffering except those masochistic. Nobody enjoys suffering, but if you want to grow, you have to accept and embrace anxiety. So, do you agree? So C is the wrong answer, right?
Yeah.
You're crazy to enjoy anxiety.
Yeah. Crazy.
But
there are some people that I think do.
Well, no, there's something wrong there,
Yeah,
right?
something wrong, yeah.
Because most people will learn to live with it, right? And overcome that or accept it. You don't say, oh, I enjoy it.
So C then would be pain sublimation,
Huh?
pain to pleasure.
What?
C would then be pain sublimation, turning pain into pleasure.
Right.
Turn the pain into wisdom. Turn the pain into strength, not pleasure. Pain is never pleasurable, right? Unless you are masochistic, right? You enjoy torturing yourself. Yeah, I'm talking about common sense here, right? The pain is not pleasurable. But pain is necessary. Pain is necessary for growth. Yeah, but not pleasurable.
Right.
Okay, everyone agree with me. Sorry, Steve. Okay, the last one, the last slide now, right? Oh, the second last slide. Is there any wrong answer here?
That's A, E.
Which one is wrong?
A.
A. Why is wrong?
Oh.
Why A is wrong?
You can't do anything you want.
Oh, my.
Yeah, of course you can.
You have to accept consequences and responsibility.
Yeah, but I mean, in the real world,
Being free.
Yeah, it's freedom to accept that too. So.
in the real world, even if you are a spoiled brat, you still cannot do anything you want. There are limitations, inherent limitations of being a human being, right? A is important. The A is a wrong concept of freedom. Okay? You cannot do anything you want. Okay? There are ethical restraints, there are physical restraints. How about B?
It's wrong.
It's very wrong.
Wrong.
Oh, poor Roger, they say you're wrong. And poor Frankl, they say you're wrong. Both Roger and Frankl is correct because the only area of freedom is freedom of attitude. You can remember some of that. Roger says you have to have a positive view of the client, of acceptance, positive regard. If you have unconditional positive regard for your client, why can't you have that for yourself? If you cannot offer yourself unconditional positive regard, you cannot do that with your clients, right? So B is correct one.
Yeah. So isn't that more about discerning though than if I went around and I only thought of every single thing about myself in a positive way and every single thing about everything in a positive way, I know there's a certain amount of level of discerning that you have to do.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, thank you. I know you. Okay. There are two ways of being positive. Okay. One is a naive way. Okay. The positive psychology way is naive. Okay. Oh, everything positive, everyone. Leave out the evil, leave the dark side. but there is the right way, the existential way. The existential way is, I know my weakness. I know the toughness. But, the big but there, I choose to be positive, that in spite of it all, I can make it. In spite of it all, I can move forward. In spite of it all, I can make something out of my life. So the existential way of being positive is fully cognizant of the realities of the human condition. Remember? We talked about earlier, right? That's how the differences, okay? One is the existential way of being positive, one is the naive way of being positive. Yeah.
Can you just repeat that?
Huh?
About like the whole, what you just said about the existential way of
being positive.
Of being positive, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the acceptance of like all persons.
It's recognizing, being aware of the darkness of human condition and the potential for evil in human nature. That you have potentiality for good and for evil. The naive part of psychology only talk about the positive. Leave out. Roger has some problem. Roger say, oh, I've never met a bad person. I mean, I don't know where he lives, okay? I've never met a wicked person. Come on, be real. Right? People are the most dangerous animals. You know? if you say I never met a dangerous person, you must live in fantasy, in paradise. Okay? Sorry, Roger. Roger said about you. And Royal May said about you. I agree with Royal May. Okay? And other thing wrong. Is anything else wrong? You just take it.
I have E as wrong. E as wrong.
The B is wrong. B is not wrong.
A and B.
A is wrong and E is wrong, right?
Right.
You just learn from my wife that we cannot completely free ourselves from cultural influence, right?
Right.
Now, this is what Frankl said, that we are free up to a degree. You know, my English is not perfect. You know why? Because it influenced by Chinese language, right? My vocal cord trained in Chinese language, so I cannot speak perfect English. My habit also partly shaped by my culture. So you are not bound by them, you're not deterred by them, but you're partially influenced by them. Your thought patterns, your values are partially shaped by your culture. So therefore, when you work with a client, you always view the client as a person in the world. Heidegger said, being in the world. You always view the person as someone in the world, that means in a historical, social, cultural context, right? It's never something in vacuum. We're always part of a social, cultural context, and partially influenced by the forces. So how many people get 100%? Right? Is anyone got 100% correct? Patricia? Okay, all the questions, how many people get 100% correct? Nobody. How many people get 90%? Good, that's good enough, man. Because I have some trick questions there, right? So sorry for the trick questions, but the 90% very good. Okay, I'll finish my lecture, see you tomorrow, okay?
Okay. Number 2 stays here, and all the number 1 will go with Steve downstairs, and number 3 goes with Teresa, downstairs. They didn't want you to be outside, that's why they turned off the fountain.
No, in the kitchen.
In the kitchen?
Yeah, in the kitchen. Oh, they want to go outside?
No, we can't go outside because yeah. Okay, a small group in the kitchen? Sure. And we will reconvene, say 22. So you have 20 minutes.
Shift number 2.
So,
Number 1 downstairs.
yeah, number 1 downstairs, number 2 right here with us. And number 3, go to the kitchen.
Okay.
Oh, I am so glad to. It's really nice. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
You got the,
I have to. They have it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, give me one. Put that up.
Oh, we're gonna go 6 maximum. Oh, okay.
You like that?
Like that, this green, look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And do I still have to stay here?
No. I'm going to try and get as much of the group in as possible, and then.
All right. This exercise is created just to talk about, how do you use your own ethnic cultural identity. And we talk a little bit about in a big group, so not everybody got a chance to talk. So that's why we create smaller groups, that everybody got a chance to reflect and to learn from one another. And just to say, I wouldn't say it in the big group, but I'll say it here, Now, we have 4, and then we have 3 online, I understand. So we're going to make them face to virtual face.
Is it easier if I sit over there for the group?
Yes,
easier if I
that
go
would be.
over there, yeah?
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, and I'll just turn this around.
Mhm.
And let's see over here.
Yeah, so if I say, okay, I'm strong, I have strong So if you don't want to do that, we explain to you. Yeah. Or you can simply just do what you. Yeah, don't think too deep. Oh, we only have 20 minutes. But if that question go, I promise it, then don't ask that. Or don't go too deep into it. Just go for the one that you know. Another one thing is that whatever you can do close to those. Okay. Otherwise, they will be like provoking questions. These are all part and parcels to get you ready for the exam. So that's the first step is only a description. I find it's easy for me to approach it with questions like that. But if that is not your method and doesn't work for you, then more than the first.
All right, we're not going to.
Okay, you just need to enable your microphone so we can hear you. Remember how you did that?
Hi there.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
We'll turn it down a little bit so it's more natural. You say something? Okay.
find uncomfortable if somebody asks you is what is your own racial cultural identity? If you find somebody who come in, you know, what's your cultural identity?
It may not be phrased that way, but I do get people, because of my accent, saying, where are you from? You know, it becomes interesting to them to find out where I'm from.
Right, right.
Because they can't quite capture my accent.
Okay. So you're not offended?
If there hasn't been a situation where I felt offended, no.
Okay. Do you feel that that might create a barrier?
If it is, there have been some situations where I've wondered the reasoning behind the interest. If it is.
Right. You, in the back of your mind, say, why?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I introduce myself, Renee. Accept me as Renee, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, there is something I want to find out more about you that's different from me, right? Mm-hmm. So I think as therapists, you're going to be examined by all your clients, whether you like it or not, right? Because they are going to open their lives to you. And if we are not willing to open ourselves, how do you expect them to be honest, authentic towards you and in the process, right? Isn't that something that we have to work on? We don't usually get that in our classes or in our training because they are afraid to touch the, you know, the differences and the cultural aspect of it.
So I think life itself also teaches you to sort of be aware of that. I mean, yeah, for you guys, but for me, definitely, you know, being brown or Indian looking or whatever people's interpretations are. I mean, as you were speaking, I thought, oh, there's about like 12 examples that came to mind. Since I go on site and I do critical incident debriefings in the workplace, is basically what I do. And I went to a workplace where mother and son were working in the same location, and the father had passed away tragically. So as part of people that I met, I was doing one-on-one meetings, I met this mother and son together. Now, I think they were Muslim, but they, you know, the ladies didn't wear their garb or anything. But unbeknownst to me, while I was speaking to them, they were sitting across from me. My blouse had gotten undone. And the mother was sitting there like this. And, you know, I was like, oh, I'm thinking, my poor lady, you know, she's just wearing this, you know, this shield of anger. And I'm thinking it's from the death. But, oh, my God, at the end, when I looked down, I saw that my button had gotten undone. She thought probably I was trying to, like, you know, catch her son.
Sure. Too much skin.
Yeah.
Good point. It's a good point. And same as hair.
It's completely innocent. Once I realized that, I thought, I was going to close my blazer a little bit more and try to be more discreet about it. But it was quite funny. And the thing is, my name is exceptionally French because from where I come from, but I look Indian, but I'm not Indian. And it's, you know, it's like you. It's like this whole big pot of everything being mixed. So it's very strange.
And it's going through everybody's head. I know that with a couple of people on my team, we talk about this. One of my colleagues says that because she shaves her head, her clients ask her all kinds of questions like, are you gay? Is this your religion? You know, this kind of trying to get to know who we are and why we look like we do is really important.
It's curiosity. Mm-hmm. How about you?
I get it on a couple fronts. I get it. So my ethnic background. My mom is South American, and my dad's side of the family is from Germany. So people kind of, they look at me and I get either I always get very exotic mixes, but never the mix that is actually mine, right? I'll get Spanish, I'll get Spanish, I'll get Middle Eastern, I'll get Indian. I'll have people start speaking to me in another language, thinking that I speak their language, and I have to correct them that I only speak English. And I also get it.
That storekeeper with you.
And I also get it. I did some work on the crisis phones, and so we always have to say our name on the crisis phones. And I'll spend 2 minutes. I'll spend the initial time. Hi, this is Rydra. I'm sorry, what's your name? Rydra. I'm sorry, what's your name? Rydra. Can you spell that for me? R-Y-D-R-A. What a beautiful name. And it feels like they're curious as they're trying to understand, even on the phone. And it's curiosity, but at the same time, I'm like, it almost feels a little disruptive at times, because it's like, I could have just said Anne. I can't, but like, it's like, wow, and it's sometimes that's a challenge to kind of get over that hump, and because I do it so often, it's actually like a little bit of a script in my world. It becomes so automatic that I'm like, can we just get on with this? But for every person I engage with,
You spell your name now instead of waiting for them to ask.
Well, I can almost predict. I can predict the introduction, right? And so people are like, oh, I'm gonna, and I can kind of in my head, I'm like, okay, this is the next step. Okay, let's do it. I'm like, okay, now we're over it. Okay, now we can move on into
How
it.
do you get over that feeling?
I haven't yet. Like, I think therapeutically, it's sometimes a bit of a challenge, right? Because I think it's just my clients just trying to, a little bit of that sussing out, right? Like, who is this person? And trying to match the name with your appearance, and how does that all work, and how does that blend, and isn't that cool? But it's a hard part of that introductory process, because it's all about their curiosity. And it's like, but I'm here for you, dig into the meat of what you're bringing in, but at the same time, it's almost like you need to have that little bit of openness, right,
So
to allow them that curiosity. And I almost predict, like, it's odd to me if it doesn't, if those questions don't come up or those curiosities don't come up. Oftentimes it happens on the phone, because my first contact is on the phone, and so they're like, well, can you spell your name? Okay, and it's like, wow, what is it? And that's always the reaction. Like, they write them, and the next comment is, what an amazing name, what a beautiful name, what a unique name. Some kind of, it's always tagged on, right? So I just sort of, okay, great, thank you. And I'm like, so our appointment time is this, and it's
there
like,
you
go. Forward. Let's just keep moving. Like, let's keep the flow. Let's not kind of engage, but almost like allow them to have that moment to process that.
Right. You see, this is what we do when we see our clients. The first thing that we have the same reaction, don't we? Yeah. Noreen, you shared a little bit last time, but I wanted to hear
Yeah,
more.
I think for myself, being a Muslim woman, is that people see my name as Noreen Chevalier, not Noreen, because I did change my name.
Yeah, I noticed.
And legally I did. And so they see Noreen Chevalier. Then I come out of the office, meet them in the room, in the waiting room, and it's kind of like, it's kind of like what I get.
That moment.
Yeah, and I know it's going to happen every time now. Then they say, oh, I thought you were French. I said, I am French.
Yeah.
Well, what are you wearing? The hijab and the traditional dress. And but you're not Muslim, are you? And I'm like, yes, I am. Well, you couldn't have been before. And I said, no, I wasn't. I converted, actually. Then they'll ask me a few questions, and I say, okay, this is not about me. This is your session. Because it can go on and on for a number of questions.
The curiosity.
Some people have said, do you have a headache? I said, how can you ask that? Do you have a headache? Well, you're wearing, because some people knew me from before, right? So they assumed I had a headache, like I had a heating pad or a ice pack on my head. Others say, are you cold? I say, no. Well, why are you wearing a babushka? Or babushka. Yeah, I've had lots of.
You get lots of those, yes. We were talking about our own racial identity. And see, how do you answer situations you have encountered? And,
I think it's reasonable though, that we go through that, you know, because it's not us doing, it's like a human engagement, isn't it? And I'm curious about them and they need to be sure about me before they.
That's what it is, let's be sure.
Tell me everything, right?
You know, because if you expect, hello, they haven't heard, can you hear us?
They don't know that they showed up. They think we were there the whole time.
Oh, we can't even throw anything at them to eat.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
For me,
if you like to sit over there, and
sure, if Renee will deal with me, Renee, I might cough, but I'm not contagious.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. I promise I'm not contagious. I promise you.
Okay, unfortunately, to win that promise, you have to not get sick. No, come on, I'm okay. No, I'm only kidding.
No, I promise.
I'm just giving you a hug.
I'm contagious only to Josh.
Hi. Okay, we'll go through these questions quickly, and then we'll have the whole group back in here at 20 to 4. So that's why we wanted, you know, it is kind of, is that the first time you talk about this? No. Okay. No. And so you are very aware that what people are seeing you and what questions were asked, but have you been debriefed how you feel about what they asked you?
Oh, you're my colleagues.
Yeah.
Oh, can I talk really quickly about that last question very, very quickly about the racial identity? Because I think my experience is a little bit different than most.
Mm-hmm.
So I work around mostly in African community. My questions though are a little bit different because mine are, okay, so we know you're black, we get it. We can see that when they see me. So it's more focused around religion because all of the families I work with are Muslim. So for me, they can't hit off the ethnicity of my skin right away. It's more, okay, so where are you from? I'm Jamaican. Okay. Well, what do you, like, what's your background? Like, when you say background, you mean, well, your religion. Like, what are you? Because you're not Muslim, clearly. So it's like, okay, so you must be Christian. That's their first thought. You must be Christian. That's the only other religion still that they see me being a West Indian or Caribbean black woman. That's what they see. So my experience are a little bit different. I'm very much in my community, and they don't see color. They see religion. That's how they differentiate me from everything else. I guess, again, we're all the same color, so they don't use that. So it's a little bit different for me. I just wanted to share that quickly.
And how about number 2? In what ways has your racial or cultural identity helped or hindered your professional work as a psychotherapist?
I would say it has hindered somewhat because because my work is across in Detroit. And we get all American news, what's all over the media. So we're all terrorists. And I really think that I've lost some clients because of it. Because I had previously maybe dropped a few clients here and there. And then it became more and more. And I'm thinking, what is different? Because I had moved offices, it's different now and everything. I thought, what is different? What am I doing differently? And then it was my office manager that said, do you think it's because you're Muslim? I said, no, that's going to be it. And I'm like, oh my God, you're probably right. Yeah.
Yes. Now, do you have to apologize for that?
What's that?
Do you have to apologize? You know, being Muslim, therefore I am not able to keep clients. You don't have to, right?
No.
See, this is important. You see, this is the thing, the acceptance. That's what Paul's going to be talking about, meaning. What is meaning, you know? And how do we overcome and achieve meaning is accept the way we are.
Yeah, as I say, for me, it's worked the opposite. Sometimes I've been on site, and then the manager, whoever it be, will do the quality assurance checkup call for feedback, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, thank you so much for sending somebody who's proud." And we're thinking, we didn't know if that's what you wanted, but I ended up, the client ended up making a better connection with me because
of your
they thought I would possibly could be from the same cultural background as them.
Identifying at the same time. This is natural, right? Natural. You see? And we have to realize that we always find something different. We want to understand where they're coming from. It's curiosity, not animosity. And also, we wanted to accept the way it is. As you said, as everybody else is asking the same question, like Lilian spells with one L in the middle. And I keep on saying, one L in the middle. Right? Yeah. So we all have to accept the fact that we are different. And can we turn the differences into a positive thing?
I think it creates that opportunity for rapport, like, forget your name, I'm sorry. Renee.
Renee,
oh my goodness.
Right.
Yeah, well, you have to spell yours to be with me.
Like Renee was saying, it gives, clients come in and we kind of size them up. Yeah. Right? In a way, like we're there to get to know them, and I think it's reasonable in relationship for them to kind of take a moment and even allow them to take that moment to size us up and to kind of just take us in, right? Because if we're a voice on the phone, how many times have we, I know throughout just my life, there are people that I've just engaged on the phone with, I've never met in person. And then suddenly you have that opportunity to meet somebody in person that you talk to, and you're like, the picture never really matches, right? Like who you hear, you form this mental picture, and then you meet the person, and it never really, and you're like, oh, I thought you were this, and you're this.
You see, what you can do, you could change that into a positive tool, you see? And you could say, yeah, I am a little different, but we are all unique. We were all created uniquely, but we are of the same essence. We are made of the same stuff just because we were in a different location in this world. And isn't that beautiful? If it's all white,
but if
I will be
the
boring, right?
If the person's really racist, whether it's color or language, I mean, we deal a lot with we have a lot of clients in Quebec, so I do a lot of phone consultations in French, and sometimes I'll get well, you're not French, and I ask well, it's my mother tongue, and then there's this little boundary, and they're like. And I don't know if you guys know much about the Quebec culture, and
yes,
it's
a little bit.
But then at that case, I just back off and I'm like, I'm not dealing with this. First of all, I moved out of Quebec for a reason. Yeah. I'm just going to pass it over to a client because I'm not going to convince that person. So sometimes it doesn't. You can't turn it around, and it's not even helpful to even.
You see, if you want to build a therapeutic alliance, they always want to find ways, kind of pull away and see how you feel subconsciously. But if you are comfortable within your skin and you accepted who you are, your differences, and your, idiosyncratic behavior, language, accent, color combinations, you accepted that. So you don't feel offended, and therefore you are comfortable. When you are comfortable, for some reason, you project the warmth and the relational, positives. Then you get the reaction, and they are more comfortable. Then they could tell you about their story. You see, in order to have a therapeutic relationship, you have to be authentic. But it takes a long time to work through. But you can't say, okay, I'll be a therapist until I finish it all. No, we are always work in progress, a little bit at a time. But sometimes you got some belligerent people and just, combat you. How are you going to back off? You know, like this afternoon, and say, well, somebody was so mad at me, you know, blah, blah. Well, we have to understand we cannot save everybody. We cannot do the best job with every single one. And that's acceptance. We do our best. We do the right thing. And that is important. Yeah. This, you know, standard, you know, very, it's a true self. Okay? And it has to be ethical. Okay? It doesn't matter how people treat you, you do the right thing. And how often do you feel you are discriminated against in your professional circle? How do you know whether it is a case of actual discrimination or just your own sensitivity and vulnerability? I think we answered that partially.
I'm not sure that I would know 100% of the time. I have had people say to me, you know, I really don't think it's too difficult in Canada for people to understand my culture, my religion. You wouldn't really get it, Renee. And that is helpful because it gives me an understanding of kind of where they're at in their head.
Yeah.
And it's a moment, you know, do we move on? Where do you want to go with this?
So what is your reaction to them? What would you say to them?
I just encourage them to talk it through a little bit and decide what's more comfortable for them because I agree. I don't understand.
You have to be honest, right? Yes, it is true. I really don't understand. But teach me. You see, you've got to be very open and very, we have to be humble. We don't know. How dare I enter into somebody that I don't even live with, right? So teach me. I try my best to understand you so that I can, with my knowledge and training, can help you. So if you don't think I can, you may find somebody more suitable, but here I am. I do my best. So I think it's so important that we don't get all this, you know, because we're human, but we are trained human not to be irritated by all these ordinary irritants. Doesn't make sense, does it? But we chose this profession. We could be doing insurance and make a lot of money, but we don't.
Yeah.
Or sell houses and make another $1 million, right? All right. Okay. How about number 4? How do you manage your disgust towards cultural practices you perceive to be barbaric, such as female circumcision and honor killings? Isn't that something? Yeah.
I worked with women, abused women, and well, I still do now. And multiculturally, you know, this is common with female circumcision and honor killings. It is a fear. It's talked about, and as long as I understand where the woman or the man is coming from and what the expectations are on me, I try and decide my limits on. I don't debate it. You know, it's more about how does that person want to move through.
Yeah.
You know,
Personally, I try to avoid it because it's too hurtful. I mean, you know, I'm being a woman, right? And we have all the freedom that we have. But how do I understand what's over there? And I mean, can we make changes? Maybe gradually. It takes a, monumental project to do something like that.
And maybe generations.
It's
so deep.
You know, Dr. Wong, I sometimes go the opposite way. I show a lot of interest in things that are kind of offsetting to most. And when I do that with some of my students, what happens with them is they almost feel, I've noticed relief because some of them are embarrassed. The female circumcision one is a huge one that I deal with, especially with the community that I deal with. And a lot of them don't have anyone to talk to about something like that, especially as a woman. They can't talk to their mom because their mom usually are the ones who have ordered that to happen to them. So when it first comes up, they almost look at me to see what my reaction is. That I don't really react to things, right? So I don't show reaction. So when I don't show reaction, I'm more asking a question. They're kind of like, oh. And then they're willing to share their experience with me, right? And continue to share because, again, for them, some of this is embarrassing, right? And they don't have anyone to talk to about it.
And this is another thing that we should not practice alone. We must have associates. And when you encounter problems or clients that you don't feel comfortable, or you just feel this is just too heavy, and I am not, ready for it. But I do know that Simone has that experience. Let's give her a call. How does that sound?
What's been good for me is that my boss is my undercover supervisor. If she doesn't know it.
Undercover.
I just go,
Love that.
I just go to her with all my problems. Right, Dr.
You see, this is why we need one another, and we do need peer supervision and peer help. So that's why you practice alone, and that's different. But then if you work for an agency, then you have the first thing to do is what are resources that I could count on? You see, that's legit. You could ask me. And I think we feel bad for these women, but we just pray that God will see them and save them the way, where they are. What is your understanding of cultural competence in therapy? I think we've gone through that pretty well. And what is the understanding of effective use of cultural self? Okay, perhaps you could think of an incident, a case, that you have used your cultural self and actually you're successful. Or experience difficulties. Now, in my case, the kids born in Swallow, and the parents do not understand them when they come in, and when I don't speak a whole lot of Chinese, so they they identify with me. And they will say, you understand what I'm going through. Literally, the teenagers will say, you understand what I'm going through. You understand what I'm on. Yeah, right. And that's how you use yourself. And so often, you see, people in order to get into the life of a client, you've got to find common ground. If you don't have any common grounds, and you say, I think somebody else would be better handled it, more effective, And I like to get some input from these two. Is that possible? Yeah.
Can I see?
On this question specifically,
Yeah. All right.
Can you start talking, and Lilian wants to hear from you.
Sure. So the current question is, what is your understanding of cultural competence in therapy?
Well, anything that we have discussed so far, you'd like to input.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think of the questions so far, I probably reacted or had most thoughts around number 4 personally.
Uh-huh.
The previous one about how do you manage or discuss towards cultural practices. So obviously a very difficult one. I actually was just looking at my notes from last week from Paul's session around the positive attributes of a good therapist. And I think what I struggle with there is the quality or the aspect of genuineness in dealing with those types of issues. Like how to be genuine, and as you were saying, Lilian, like how do you reflect a level of honesty about the issue, and maybe maybe it's just as you're saying right now, it's just that if we don't have the capacity to really empathize with that client or in that moment, then the best thing is to refer out. But anyway, it's just more of a comment than anything. But that's what I would particularly struggle with.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon. Do you have any input for any of those questions that we covered so far?
Not really. I think most of the thoughts were already voiced by the previous people that were speaking early on. I don't think my cultural identity has hindered me as a therapist. However, your first question about, like, if somebody asked me personally, so, because I am a visible minority, is how do you react to that? And I do get a reaction. However, I learn to, over time, you learn to, like sort of repress it, or you become open and you just share it. Like now I've learned to share it and say, I tell them what my ethnic background is because they want to know and it's important to them. But my gut initial reaction is, well, why do you want to know? It's about you. It's not about me. This session. So those are my comments for now.
Thank you. Yeah,
Sorry, Lily, Gary might want to say something if we can get him.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe unmute your microphone.
I think personal identity is very close to home. And this is why when it's, if you could ask any questions, but when you ask about yourself, it's so close to home. And you always say, I'm vulnerable. What if they say, you, ching, ching, because you're Chinese, right? And they do all sorts of things. And you see, when we were little, we say, oh, don't, forget about them, they are ignorant. But it's not that. You see, it does hurt when you have little kids growing up and you have that. As I said in the first class, you see, you cannot eliminate discrimination, but you could accept and you could modify. Are we still trying to get Gary?
Gary, are you there?
Yeah, can you folks hear me okay?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Oh, good, great. Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'm enjoying this thoroughly. I think it was Scott who talked about the answer that I'm very taken with is how far to go in being authentic and disclosing with clients, and yet to always make it about their benefit and their advancement. And I've been musing a lot about that. The cultural thing I don't run into as much because I'm 70 years old, I'm white, I'm a man, and I don't get queried quite as much as, of course, others of you would. But this is a very helpful and good thing for me to hear, and I'm enjoying it very much, actually.
Well, Gary, actually, you appear like blue with a nice circle on top of a bigger circle.
Yeah, I am a little blue, but that's I'm in an exercise. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm such a distractible person. All right. Okay, number 7 and number 8. Do you think that a bicultural identity is an advantage or disadvantage, and why? You know what bicultural identity is? Okay. Like a lot of my third generation, they are. If it's not bi, it would be tri.
Eventually, yeah. I think maybe yes, maybe no.
Okay.
I think it depends.
Yes.
I don't think it's as unusual now
In this
as it may
generation.
have been when I was at school or when I was in where I grew up. So I think time and situations. Yeah.
It is hard to say, isn't it? It's again individual. How you process your identity, how you reinforce, and how you accept yourself as an authentic self. But I wanted to read the number 8, and I want reactions. What is your understanding of being an invisible cultural racial minority, such as being a white Hispanic from Mexico or white followers of Buddhism or Islamic faith? I add one more, when you are gay or as lesbian. That's what I call invisible minority. And we have, as a society, have learned a lot. But still very, very difficult for the majority to accept and to be able to work through. And especially for families. So,
yeah, the rejection is high, I think, who does accept you here and this,
so
here and
since I think we have used up all the time, and I was going to get everybody back together and debrief, and we won't be able to do that today until 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Woohoo!
All right?
Breakfast at your place, Bill? Can you hear me?
Stop.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. See you tomorrow
Good
morning.
evening.
Thank you, Lilian.
Thanks, Lilian.
You're most welcome. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you.